a priority. How much roof done cover fisherman boat fix? PDP forever and ever. I will never ever vote the oppressor, the slave master. What a displeasure. No. Tobago, we are the head and not the tail. Let's demand the change. Set our speeches and promises again and again. To no avail. Election games. Hey, vote Watson in the east, vote Ashia in the west. Tobago, don't hesitate to drive the X. Drive it like you're fed up, drive it like you're vexed. I said to drive it like when you break up with your ex. Smoke Shamfa and Ayana from their Balizanes. And when the ballots are in and EBC done check. What a celebration in Roxborough complex. Watson take the east, Ashabi take the west. PDP forever and ever. I will never ever vote the oppressor, the slave master. What a disaster. Tobago, we are the head and not the tail. Let's demand the change. Set our speeches and promises again and again. To no avail. Election games. Hey, hey. For far too long, Tobago been crying out. PNM completes the next term and we still crying out. For far too long, Tobago been crying out. PNM completes the next term and we still crying out. Still crying out. Still crying out.
Yo, this is Trinidad presented for Watson Duke. Tasha B representing Tobago East and West. Digest. PDP, feel the power, feel the power, feel the power of the Tobago fighter. Feel the power, feel the power, feel the power of the Tobago fighter. Boom. Watson Duke he coming down. From door to door he coming strong. PDP we on the ground. And we not running from the sun. Fixing your roof and all your drains. Tobago go never be the same. PNM is a set game. We not voting PNM again. Digest, digest, digest. Digest, digest, digest. Digest, digest, digest. PDP party, them is the best. Digest, digest, digest. Digest, digest, digest. Digest, digest, digest. Watson Duke will relieve your stress. Boom. PNM lead the place in a mess. Old and the young coming out of the nest. The 10th of August to do what is best. Time to put PNM to rest. When Duke on the road to success, Tobago tourism will be the best, yes. Will be the best, yes. What we call that? Watson Duke. Digest, digest, digest. Digest, digest, digest. Digest, digest, digest. PDP party, them is the best. Digest, digest, digest. Digest, digest, digest. Digest, digest, digest. PDP party, them is the best. Feel the power, feel the power, feel the power of the Tobago fighter. Feel the power, feel the power, feel the power of the Tobago fighter. Feel the power, feel the power, feel the power of the Tobago fighter. Feel the power, feel the power, feel the power of the Tobago fighter. When them sleep, when Tasha out on the street, when them rest, you done beat them down in the rest. When you hit the road on the road to success, Tobago tourism will be the best, yes. Will be the best, yes. Watson Duke, PDP, Tasha B. Digest, digest, digest. Digest, digest, digest. Digest, digest, digest. Time for we to put PNM to rest. Digest, digest, digest. Digest, digest, digest. Digest, digest, digest. Tasha B, she is the best, yes. Feel the power, feel the power, feel the power. Yo, this is Trinidad presenting for PDP. Watson Duke, Tasha B. Beat them in the east, beat them in the west. Rah!
So bad. Oh, is it that should really be sad? Is it a misplaced melancholy? Well, it's politics time again. Are you gonna vote now? My people may talk. It's politics time again. Are you gonna vote now? My God. Rise up, fallen suffers. Rise and take your stand again. He who fights and run away will live to fight another. have a citizen to vote. I upon them constitution, long time indeed a joke. Fed up of promises and hopeless hope. Ballot box must be empty, vote house closed. No one arm, no one choose the color of them clothes now. But some just plain greedy. No matter how we teach, they'll forget easier. Look, it's politics time again. Are you gonna vote now? This is love and not war. We all shall vote, yeah. If it's Rasta, then talking. Look here, bloodshed from Rima. Down in the valley, me here, yeah. Question has become a gunman compound. No place for people with citizenship, Lord. They're crying relentlessly, yeah. People moving every minute, every hour. Gunshot falling like hell shower. Ooh, yeah. It's politics time again. Well, are you gonna vote now? Good people may talk. It's politics time again. Are you gonna vote now? Ooh. And a little one, we want. And a little preach, we preach. Still they bust up their big guns on the street, Lord. Killing people, oh, there is sneak. Who is it that Iman is speaking? Who is it that is controlling the system? Three parties, and I'm not dancing. Who is it? Who is she? No, who is the Mr. Him? Yeah, it's their campaign time again now. Ooh, yeah. Well, it's politics time again. The people have a cry now. Ooh, it's politics time again. Are you gonna vote now? Hey, everything raise, but we won't live on fret. When the air that we breathe becomes thick with them, then we know Jaja guide, we will never fret. Whenever you're ready, we're ready. No more spot check. Whether you light or you're heavy, happy or respect. Lord, no war. No war. Yeah. Well, it's politics time again. Are you gonna vote now? Who is worthy? It's politics time again. Are you gonna vote now? Poor people cry. It's the right of senior citizens to vote. By upon them constitution, long time it did a joke. We are fed up with promises and hopeless hope. Ballot box must be empty, vote house closed. No one harm, no one choose the color of them clothes, y'all. Some just plain greedy. No matter how we teach, they'll forget easier. It's politics time again. Are you gonna vote now?
Whoa, what love is the anthem?
Let me see your hand them. Let me see your hand them.
I have love for the whole wide world. With you at the center, you are the master key. If love is by my side, then who can deny me? I keep climbing higher.
We going down the road, hands in the air. People everywhere, love and unity is there. It's that time of year where we don't care. It don't matter where you're from, put your flag in the air and represent. Just one love, just one love, just one love, just one love. And represent. Just one love, just one love, just one love, just one love.
My people, do you listen? Tell me, do you hear? What is your position for the people? Do you care? Yeah. Will you tell me that you represent? I really want to see some evidence. In freedom, this is evidence. So bring it from your soul. What love is the anthem? What love is the anthem? vision and we have some more to spare, yeah. And we live like this, yeah, every day. We do it in love and we don't delay. Love like this, we must relay. It's in your heart and soul. PDP, we voting for PDP. Black and we bro. PDP, we voting for PDP.
Good morning, everybody. Apologies for the late start. I am holding on for Miss Tasha Grace Burris, Tobago West candidate for the Progressive Democratic Patriots, on her usual morning show, which runs from 7 to 9 a.m. It's now 7:30 a.m. in the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago. We are here in studio in Crown Point, 91.9 The Street, and we're broadcasting live from Crown Point, Tobago. Thank you for your continued support and being so loyal to this program, listening to our candidate for Tobago West, Miss Tasha Grace Burris. I want to reassure you that she would be back on tomorrow. The reason for not being here today and this morning is because she had another engagement to attend to, for which she would be going live from her candidate page. Alright, so today is Transformation Thursdays, and I want to talk a little bit about statistical data. I want to talk a little bit about some of the things that have been affecting the Tobago space in terms of tourism, the economy, healthcare, education, things like that. As Ms. Burris always so passionately speaks to the public and so passionately puts her position out there in terms of representation and in terms of her ideologies for advocacy on behalf of Tobago's interests, I would say that it's so heartening to know that young people are getting involved in the political arena. Young people are now coming forward and stepping up to the plate where politics is concerned. And don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, as I'm standing in for Miss Tasha Grace Burris, I'm asking you to call in 717-9591. That number again, 717-9591. And our WhatsApp number, if you have to write to us any queries, questions, comments, anything you may want to add or contribute to the discussion, it's 734-6355. That number again for WhatsApp, 734-6355. All right, so we want to hear from you. This morning is Transformation Thursdays, and in order for Tobago to develop and grow, there are necessary things that must occur in terms of its transformation, in terms of growth, development, as we always reiterate when it is we're on the campaign trail. Yesterday there was a walkabout in the Mount Pleasant area and bordering areas such as Lowlands and so on, and the reception was quite good. we are very pleased to know that our candidate for Tobago West for the Progressive Democratic Patriots is being seen as somebody who is for the people, is being seen as somebody who is interested in having conversations and having people voice their opinions, voice their views, and tell Tashia Grace Burris, our candidate, their concerns. It was very heartwarming to see many young people, many senior citizens as well, the elders that came out to greet with our candidate for Tobago West. And we are very pleased with the fact that there has been support across the board. There has been this urge, and there has been this newfound interest in bringing about positive change in the Tobago space. So we are quite pleased, and we are quite heartened by the fact that people are actually becoming more and more aware that there is an alternative, that there is some kind of positive outcome that can be had out of this general election. On August the 10th, 2020, we are reminding you, go to the polls, ensure that you exercise your right to vote. All right? And don't forget, the symbol of the Progressive Democratic Patriots is the bamboo bulife, which is the PDP, Progressive Democratic Patriots symbol. So on August the 10th, 2020, when you go to the polls in Tobago, vote for the Progressive Democratic Patriots, and we urge you to get out there early, right? So we want to hear from you callers. 717-9591. We are asking you to call in and contribute to this discussion this morning. Transformation Thursdays. We are asking that you call, give your comments, give your questions, and also to WhatsApp us text us on WhatsApp your comments as well. 734-6355. 734-6355. Now, we want to talk a little bit about tourism. In front of me on the screen, I have in front of me arrivals to Trinidad and Tobago by main markets. This is between the years 2014 and 2015 and on to 2020, which is this year. So I am going to give you a little bit of statistical data by year. We had in total 412,447 arrivals in 2014. Now, this is way before COVID-19 happened, right? So COVID-19 came and adversely affected the tourism industry. It adversely affected the amount of arrivals that we would have enjoyed locally in Trinidad and Tobago. The statistics I have in front of me apply to both Trinidad and Tobago. But when you look at the amount that comes specifically to Tobago, the number would obviously vary. All right, so I'm going to give you a little bit about the general figure that would have been recorded in terms of arrivals. So you have 412,447 arrivals to Trinidad in 2014. All right. In 2015, we saw an upsurge, just a little bit of a surge, and it went up in 2015 to 439,749. And then we saw a very steady decline thereafter. In 2016, we saw 408. So you go from 2015, when you had 439, to 408,000 something arrivals to Trinidad and Tobago. All right? And specifically, I would imagine for the Tobago space, it would have significantly decreased as well. All right, in 2017, we went down to 394,650. 2017, 375. So there was a steady decline, a very, very steady decline in terms of the arrivals to the island. Now, several factors would have played a part in why that was the case. We had the breakdown in the air and sea bridge, particularly the sea bridge here in Tobago, which was utterly and completely unacceptable. Now, I am not going to say that Tobago did not suffer, because the fact remains that Tobago suffered significantly as a result of this breakdown in commute between Trinidad and Tobago. Now, if it is you can't leave Trinidad and have a consistent, convenient, and very, very much reliable sea bridge connection between the two islands, basically Tobago is cut off. Because everything that comes to Tobago must go to Trinidad first. And I'm saying that that is very unfortunate. One of the positions of the Progressive Democratic Patriots, and by extension our candidates, is to advocate for that CARICOM jetty to be reopened so that trade, commerce, and things coming from various spaces in the Caribbean, of the islands, and places like St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Grenada, which is the nearest neighbor in the north to Tobago, can come here and drop off their goods directly, can come here and basically ensure that there's a direct linkage between Tobago and the rest of the Caribbean. Now, while we appreciate Trinidad is the bigger island and so on, Tobago is just as equal, and Tobago has to take its place in terms of trade, commerce, the economy. Dr. Vanas James actually spoke extensively the other night at BlackRock about why the Progressive Democratic Patriots should be given a fair chance to populate the corridors of power, not just for having two seats' sake, but mainly because of advocacy and representation on the part of Tobago. We are asserting, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, we are asserting that it is quite important for people to make a choice that is in keeping with what the needs are in Tobago, with what is required for Tobago in terms of development, in terms of moving forward. For far too long, we have had infrastructure that existed since the NAR government. When A.N.R. Robinson was the Prime Minister, lots of things were done in Tobago, particularly the airport, the seaports, the ports in Scarborough, things like that. And when it is you have infrastructure that is very dated and is very old, and nothing has been done significantly to bring about some kind of upgrade or adhering to international best practices and standards and so on, we find that it's even more difficult for people to see convenience and to find comfort in their commute. Alright, so things like that we are looking at, and the Progressive Democratic Patriots is very, very interested in putting into the public space that we are sending two candidates to the Parliament of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago to advocate on behalf of the people of Tobago and the interests of Tobago, particularly bridging that broken relationship between the central government and the Tobago House of Assembly. The Tobago House of Assembly is essentially the governing body that is interested or should be interested in the well-being of the people. So basically the local government arm or the local governance arm of Trinidad and Tobago in Tobago is the Tobago House of Assembly. So there's no reason why the Chief Secretary of the Tobago House of Assembly should not be called upon in the Parliament of Trinidad, say in a senatorship role, to speak. So once in a while, if it is the Tobago West candidate or the Tobago East candidate calls upon the Tobago House of Assembly Chief Secretary to come to the Parliament and explain to the population what is being done in Tobago. How do we intend to do that? What is needed? What is the allocation required? And what are the plans in going forward for Tobago? So all of these things we must take into consideration. My name is Sean McCoon. I am holding on. I am just filling in for Miss Tasha Grace Burris, our passionate, intelligent candidate for Tobago West for the Progressive Democratic Patriots. We encourage you, we urge you, if you're sitting on the fence, come out and vote for us, because here in Tobago, change is needed. Here in Tobago, good governance is needed, good representation. And governance is not just about having a ministerial position, and good governance is not about having a position in a cabinet. Good governance is not about having a big position or a big board role or something on a national level. That is not the real and true. That is not really and truly the objective of representation. The objective of representation is to bring about positive change. The objective of representation is to ensure that the needs of the people that have put you there are met. And with the type of governance structure that we are proposing, the Progressive Democratic Patriots is also pushing for community-based models of governance, which is very important. So, for example, we look at the Castara model. And I always make reference to this because Castara is a place, in my opinion, that can do no wrong in terms of tourism. In terms of the tourism product that Castara puts out and the products that Castara would develop and have been developing, it is second to none. Why I say this is because we have a situation where year-round Castara is filled with people. Regardless of the situation, if tourist arrivals are significantly lower, if there has been a drop in arrivals, Castara maintains its product. Castara maintains that community-based approach to governance, tourism. Their productivity is all based on community-type governance rules. Now I want you to call in 717-9591. Give us a call. 717-9591. I know Miss Burris is at another engagement at the moment, so I'm just holding on for her here at 91.9 FM The Street, broadcasting live from Crown Point, Tobago.
This is a black hole. We black and we brown. We voting for PDP, protest PNM. Pharaoh and his men, you won't see them tomorrow. No, this is a black hole. We black and we brown. We voting for PDP, protest PNM. Pharaoh and his men, you won't see them tomorrow. Black and proud the guy, love with Tobago pride. Burris don't ever give up this fight. With the you bring tears up our people's eyes. Vote out Shamfa, vote out Iron, vote out the PNM.
Right, so I'm going to quote from a newspaper article that was published a few days ago. In fact, it was published today, and it comes as a result of what Dr. Vanash James spoke about when it is the Progressive Democratic Patriots had its public meeting in the Black Rock community on Monday. And the thing about it is that he was describing what it is was taking place in the Parliament of Trinidad and Tobago on behalf of Tobago by the two Tobago PNM Tobago representatives in the Parliament of Trinidad and Tobago. James said in 2015, Tobago sent former Tobago West MP Shamfa Kojo and former Tobago East MP Ayana Webster Roy to Parliament for one reason. Alright, he said they went down to Trinidad, they collected $3 million in salary apiece, and that's for a 5-year period, $3 million apiece. Full pay, and just before the elections, they came back and told you, no self-determination for you. So this raises many questions, ladies and gentlemen. This raises many interesting questions that I want the public to weigh in on. The number is 717-9591, 717-9591. Call us. I want to hear what your opinions are on this. I am holding on for Miss Tasha Grace Burris, Progressive Democratic Patriots candidate for Tobago West. And I want to know what your views are on what Dr. Vanish James would have put out into the public space. And it is very important for us to think about the money that was spent to pay these two representatives in the Parliament of Trinidad and Tobago. They have been collecting a salary that amounted to $3 million. $3 million. And then you come at the end of it after Parliament is dissolved, or just before Parliament is dissolved, to tell people no self-determination for you. So basically, one of the premises, one of the very, very, very important, one of the important premises for which the People's National Movement would have campaigned in 2015 is internal self-governance and self-determination for Tobago. So I'm trying to figure out and understand and appreciate why it is after this 5-year period, why is it this self-determination for Tobago was not realized. 717-9591 is the number to call, ladies and gentlemen. 717-9591. What do you think of the fact that Tobago did not even begin to see transformation in that 5-year period, based on the fact that their campaign promise was to bring forward the autonomy bill? Marijuana bill was passed. All sorts of different legislation was passed in the Parliament of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago. Do you want to send two representatives to Trinidad to advocate on behalf of Tobago and Tobago's internal self-governance in terms of Tobago's self-determination? I think we should. And I'm appealing to the population. I'm asserting that Mr. Watson Solomon Duke and Miss Tasha Grace Burris, the Tobago West candidate for the Progressive Democratic Patriots, their objective is to go to the Parliament of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago and advocate on behalf of Tobago. 717-9591.
No weapon form against PDP. Just set you higher than the eagle. Haters scatter on your left, some scatter on your right. Victory today. This is a black when we touch the road.
I want to talk a little bit about another problem that has been plaguing the Tobago space, and this is not just a Tobago problem. This is actually a national problem, which is the freedom of expression, the freedom of speech, the freedom to be open with whoever your political affiliation is. And what I've noticed, particularly in the past 5 years, is that many people have come to me, and many people have come to us by extension, and said that I have been victimized by my employers. I have been victimized because of my choice. I have been victimized because of my political affiliation. I have been victimized, or I have been looked upon with scorn and with shame as a result of my personal choices and my personal convictions. And we're saying that the Progressive Democratic Patriots would like to embark on a campaign to eradicate that sort of culture entirely. It is an uphill task, an uphill battle, and we know that it is a mammoth task in order to get rid of victimization and to get rid of that culture that exists in the local space, particularly here in Tobago, when it is you have 70% or so of the population employed by the Tobago House of Assembly either directly or indirectly, or at least some dependency of the Tobago House of Assembly. Dr. Vanash James and several other intellectuals and economists and so on would have cited the fact that is, you are running Tobago as a welfare state. How is that productive? When you have basically destroyed your private sector, how is that productive?
And haters on your right, victory today. This is a black.
How is that
We black and we brown.
productive? I want to know, how is that productive? Please explain to me how having 70% of your population dependent on state-run enterprises and by extension the Tobago House of Assembly, how is this productive? 717-9591. I want to hear from you. Call us. Speak to us. Let's discuss this. How is this practical? How is this applicable? I want to know. Call us and tell us. How is this practical? How is this applicable? How is this helpful for diversification of the economy? And I'll continue to read from this article that was published today. And Dr. Vanash James's words as a senior professor of economics in Tobago. If they had given us our self-determination, we would be able to get every year in this Tobago at least 4.5 billion worth of resources for our budget. Then nobody in Trinidad would have to come and say, well, I will give you a this and I will give you a that.
Him with PDP t-shirt, voting for Tashia Boris, voting for what's in the oak, black like charcoal.
Right? So I'm continuing to read because I'm seeing many different points coming out of this statement and these statements that Dr. Vanash James would have said and would have made the other night at the public meeting in Blackrock. What I'm trying to say is the fact that you have an economy that is run by state-run enterprises, by the Tobago House of Assembly. Why is it you have so many people dependent on the Tobago House of Assembly? Is it that you want all young people to aspire to get a government work, to get a work in THA, have a job in the Tobago House of Assembly? Not that working in the Tobago House of Assembly is a bad thing. I myself do consultancy work directly for and with, and I partner with Tobago House of Assembly, various divisions from time to time. But what I'm saying is, if the majority of your workforce is on a payroll by this one entity that is responsible for governance on the island, then we have a serious problem. It tells me that we have not diversified the economy, that is one thing. We have not introduced the private sector into the equation sufficiently. And I'm saying that this is something that needs to be addressed. This is a serious issue. We cannot continue to run Tobago as if it is a welfare state. We cannot continue to run Tobago as though it is something, as though there's a dependency syndrome on the state. It's as though you've taken all the negatives and all the ills of socialism and heaped it all into one big ball, or a cacophony of mismanagement and corruption and victimization in order to secure a vote bank. That is what I see. That is what I see. I'm calling it for what it is, and as a goodly candidate for Tobago West, the Progressive Democratic Patriots would say, Call a spade a spade.
Black and proud the guy.
Call a spade a spade.
Don't ever give up this.
Is it that we're running things in a way that makes us dependent? Are you training people to become better? Are you preparing them for the world? Are you preparing them for work in large entities that would not take them just in intermenial forms of employment, but empowering people to be able to work at the best institutions and attend the best institutions worldwide, and then come back to Trinidad and Tobago in particular, to benefit from that and from that said expertise? Are you training people? Are you developing your education system in a way that is realistic? Are you developing your education system in a manner that is geared towards empowering young people? Or are you keeping them in mental slavery and captivity? All of these are questions that we must ask. We must ask these questions.
This is a black hole. We're voting for vote up PNM. Pharaoh and his men, you won't see them tomorrow. No, this is a black hole. PDP, we black and we pro. We're voting for vote up PNM.
All right, I'm going to continue reading from this article that was published and quoting from Dr. Vanna James. You cannot allow the PNM to focus on any one of us, threaten us, drive us into mental slavery, and scare the hell out of us so we can't talk politically here. That is a threat to our rights and our democracy in this Tobago. And we can't afford that. If you vote for PNM, go ahead and do that, no threats. But if you want to leave PNM and vote for somebody else, say the Progressive Democratic Patriots, as we are encouraging you to do, that is your business. People should not tolerate that, and for that reason I say to you, I've come off the fence and I want to tell you to pull out your political guns, and on August the 10th, go down there and vote the hell out of PNM. Vote the PNM out of office. And when it is a senior intellectual such as Dr. Vanna James could get up on a platform or feel moved to get up on a platform and make such a pronouncement, then it says a lot. It says a whole lot in terms of the tone and the atmosphere that exists in this space at this point. People are fed up. People are disgruntled. People are sick and tired of empty promises. People are sick and tired of things that are not practical. People are sick and tired of governance that is not people-centered. People are sick and tired of governance that does not reach to the people. I had an interesting conversation with a young lady yesterday, and she explained to me that there were several things in her community, and she showed me the condition of the road, and this is during a walkabout in the Mount Pleasant bordering lowlands area here in Tobago. She said, look at the condition of this road. The PNM has populated the corridors of power in the Tobago House of Assembly for however long. God knows how long. They had 12-0. There was no opposition. There was nobody to tell them yea or nay. There was nobody to cloud their judgment or be up in the air telling them, you're doing nonsense, you're doing good, you're doing nonsense, you're doing good. There was nobody to beat them down if it is they brought a good initiative forward. There was nobody there. Nobody was there. You basically had no opposition, but yet still the roads are in a mess, the economy is in a mess, and we're not talking about COVID, we're talking about way before COVID-19 happened. So I wish to assert to the public here, ladies and gentlemen, that the blame for the failure of the economy in Tobago cannot be placed on the shoulders of COVID-19. The blame for the failure of tourism in Tobago cannot be blamed on COVID-19. The blame for the lack of output and productivity cannot be placed on COVID-19 because it was going on way before. We live it every day. We live this reality every day. The cost of living in Tobago is significantly higher. The cost differential is higher. And Assemblyman Farley Augustine, or Deputy Political Leader of the Progressive Democratic Patriots, and Mr. Watson Solomon Duke, along with the Minority Councillor Dr. Faith B. Israel, would have brought a motion forward in the Tobago House of Assembly to address and examine the cost differentials that exist in the Tobago space. When it makes more sense for me to get on the boat. Well, whenever it's working, at least. When I get onto the boat and I have to go to Trinidad to get certain things because it costs me less to get on a boat to go down there and shop and bring things up. That is a serious issue. What about the people who cannot afford to do that? What about the people who are so entrenched in their own situations and their circumstances and do not have the comfort and the luxury to jump on a plane or jump on a boat to go to Trinidad to shop and do certain things? That is unfair. Why is it the population of Tobago must not enjoy the same luxuries that the population in Trinidad should enjoy? I'm going to quote a particular line in the national anthem of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, which is "Side by side we stand, islands of the blue Caribbean Sea. Side by side we stand." Doesn't that imply equity? Doesn't that imply that there should be the same cost of living and cost differential across the board? Why is it not the case? Why is this not the case? I could never understand for the life of me how it is things that Dr. Morgan Job, the late great Dr. Morgan Job, when he was actually alive and I was 8 years old, or 9 years old, listening on 7:30 a.m. at the time, everything that Dr. Morgan Job spoke about 25 to 30 years ago, thereabouts, would have come to pass now. And has come to fruition now. How is it? How? But they call the man a madman. They call him a crazy person. They call him somebody who is not seen as being relevant in the public space. But everything the man said in his observation, in his analysis, in his assessment came to pass, particularly in the past decade, between 2010 to 20, and between 2010 to 2020, everything that Morgan Job spoke about would have played out. The dependency syndrome that exists in the Tobago space, the crash of the economy, way before COVID-19. I'm saying here on Transformation Thursdays that we must address these issues, and putting two representatives that come from an indigenous Tobago party, the Progressive Democratic Patriots, Ms. Tasha Grace Burris in the West, our young, vibrant, intelligent candidate, putting a candidate like that in the Parliament of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago will and can make a dent, will and can make some sort of significant progress and bring about positive change. Transformation Thursdays, 717-9591, that's the number to call in. I find the callers are a bit quiet today. The callers elders are quite quiet today. And I go on to read from this article that Dr. Vanesh James was quoted on. He said that the PDP would be brave and strong and capable of looking after our interest in internal self-government. So if it is you have a group of young people, and I always say the best way to judge a leader is to look at the people he has around him. People may have issues with Mr. Watson Duke, but you know what? The man gets things done. And he said that on his platform yesterday in Pembroke, Glamorgan. He gets things done. You may not like him. He may not necessarily be a palatable person that every Tom, Dick and Harry would love and would want to accept what he's saying, but he speaks the truth. His delivery may not necessarily always be something that you want to listen to, but you know what? He's speaking the truth, and the truth hurts. And if you look at the team that the Progressive Democratic Patriots has assembled, you have the likes of Farley Chavez Augustine, Minority Assemblyman, Speyside Lands for me, Palatouvier. Good, vibrant young people, educated, willing to serve, proven track record. Give us a chance to serve. Dr. Faith B. Israel, young, educated, vibrant, factual, people with substance. Tashia Grace Burris, Tobago West candidate, PDP. We are asserting, ladies and gentlemen, and we are putting into the public space that there is an alternative. There is something for you to come home to. We know that some people may be afraid to change. We know that some people may be afraid to make the switch. We know that some people would not necessarily want to publicly show loyalty or show support for us. But you know what? We urge you to go out and vote. Let your silent cries and let your silent support for us and you silently crying out for better, let it translate into your vote on August 10th. We're asking you to go out and vote. Give young, vibrant minds a chance. This all protocols observed, paying homage and reverence to people that have gone before is all well and good, but the time for young people to step up is now. This is what is required to take this place forward. We take the wisdom of the elders and we utilize young, vibrant people who have the strength and the stick-to-itiveness and the gusto and the vigor and the vitality to carry out those plans. A partnership must be forged. A partnership must be forged between the elders and the young people. The elders have an encyclopedic knowledge or wealth of knowledge of the affairs that have gone before, of the affairs happening now, and they are very observant, perceptive, and discerning. And I'm saying to you, Trinidad and Tobago, I'm saying to be discerning, be perceptive, be observant. Pay attention to what is happening around you. Are you satisfied with the way this place is being run? Are you satisfied with the way Tobago is being governed? When it is you have a prime minister that gets up on a platform and says, I will not forgive you if you vote against me. And then further to that, you're saying we don't need any observers in our election. But you're having CPL. You're bringing people here for a sporting event. for leisure time activity. You're bringing people into the country for that, for leisure time activity, a sporting event. You bringing people in to play sports and play cricket in Trinidad and Tobago, but yet still you can't bring in people to observe that the democratic process is properly carried out. What does that tell you about the nature of the individual and his narrative and his ideologies? Does he respect the Constitution? Does he respect democracy? When he can openly get up on a platform and say, I will not give Tobago a pass if you vote against me. So basically you're telling me that I will victimize you, I will not treat you equally if it is you choose against me. What kind of thing is that? What kind of society are we developing into? That dictatorial sort of pronouncement is tantamount to a threat. And we must get rid of that sort of culture. That is why victimization exists. That is why victimization exists. Because your leader who was put there to serve the people is saying things in the space like, I will not give you a pass. And on top of that, you're bringing people to play cricket, to bring people in for a sporting event, but you can't bring people to observe the democratic process. We're not saying bring people from New Zealand or Switzerland or the United States or Canada or United Kingdom. Even your CARICOM neighbors, Barbados, Jamaica, Guyana, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, wherever the case may be, your nearest and your closest allies, your closest neighbors. Why is it you can't bring them in? I want to know. What's happening here? So all of these things must be accounted for. All of these things in terms of issues we must judge people. There was a gentleman by the name of Choi Charles, and the political entity that he represented at the time was ousted, was voted out, was disassembled by the population of Tobago because of ring ban and other. That major issue cost that particular political entity power. And I'm saying, if it is we were to judge the tenure of this political entity that has populated the corridors of power for the past 15 to 20 odd years in the Tobago House of Assembly case, and with the argument of 5 years in central government and having 2 representatives for that particular political entity in the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago Parliament. The amount of things, there's a long list, there's a lengthy amount of mishappenings, of faux pas, of missteps, of mismanagement, several instances of corruption, mismanagement, victimization, and that is being ingrained in the very fabric of society. If that sort of thing is being ingrained into the fabric of society and it's becoming part and parcel, it's becoming part and parcel of the culture in going forward. It's becoming part and parcel in terms of the way people go about their everyday life. Some people live in fear because they know if they speak out against the said victimization, they will be cut off from their places of employment. They will be alienated and ostracized. How is that fair? How is that fair? How is that just? How is that honest? I'm saying to you, ladies and gentlemen, be not afraid. Be not afraid. Speak out. Regardless of who you're supporting politically, it could be us, the Progressive Democratic Patriots, it could be anybody else. We're urging you to come out and support us. Don't sit on the fence. You have a duty, exercise that duty, because that duty shows that you, the people, have the power. Vox populi, vox dei. The voice of the people is the voice of God. Remember that. Vox populi, vox dei. The voice of the people is the voice of God. Let's not get it twisted. Let's not mix matters on it. What are we doing to ourselves? Take a good look at yourselves, Tobago. Take a good look at yourselves, Trinidad and Tobago. Are we happy? The madness and the nonsense that is happening in Trinidad between the PNM and the UNC and all those other entities that have mushroomed. There's a gentleman by the name of Nikolai Edwards, the progressives in Trinidad. He's going up in for one of the seats in South Trinidad. I wish him all the best. You know why? Because young people need to stand. Why all they don't give the youth man a vote in Trinidad? Give the youth man a chance. Give Tashia Grace Boris here in Tobago a chance.
PDP, we voting for PDP, black and we broke.
At the end of the day, when politics is all said and done and election day is over, we still have to live together though. So I'm saying that we are interested in democracy being carried out, but we are also interested in putting people before politics. So regardless of the outcome, the Progressive Democratic Patriots will still be in the public space and we will still be a force to be reckoned with, because people will come to us and people will recognize that they now have a voice. We are confident that we have a very, 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 very good chance at the polls, and that depends on you. The representation that you need and you deserve and that you want, and that is required for Tobago's development in going forward. We need you to come out and vote. We don't want you to just vote for voting's sake, because we want to have a relationship with you. We want to talk to you. We want to keep the open lines of communication.
Black and proud the guy. Love with Tobago pride.
You know?
Watson Duke and Tasha Boris don't ever give up this fight. With the few shit I galvanize. You bring tears to.
We have so many things floating around in the public space. We have so many things to discuss. This is Transformation Thursday. We have many things that we want to touch on and cover. Look at the fact that Tropical Storm Gonzalo. I mean, it didn't show up as we had really anticipated, but these are also things that we must discuss. What is the capacity development framework for disaster risk management in Tobago? Tobago has been a victim of several onslaughts of weather systems. Hurricane Flora, the older heads would obviously be able to give proper accounts on that. But I want to say to you that we need to have proper frameworks and capacity development framework in place. I'm getting a caller. Let's take this call.
Hello? Hello?
Yes, good morning, caller.
Hello, morning, sir. How are you this morning?
I am fine, thank you, sir. Talk to me.
Don't be afraid, my brother. There is no force on what can stop the PDP now. Good morning, and I'm locked in and listening.
Yes, sir. Thank you for that. So people are speaking out. People are speaking out. The caller says there's no stopping the PDP now. Be not afraid. Get into this vehicle. Get into this moving vehicle. Get into this moving vehicle. It may not be a Mercedes-Benz. It may not be a Range Rover. It may not be something that resembles an Aston Martin or a Jaguar or a Bugatti or Ferrari or some sort of beautiful European concept vehicle. We may not be at that stage in terms of our development just yet. But you know what? It's a sure, safe, reliable Toyota Corolla. What you see is what you get. Look at the people in this party. You have qualified, young, talented, willing people. Mr. Farley Chavez Augustine, Minority Assemblyman, always speaks into the public space and he makes this pronouncement that we need to have a coalition of the competent and the willing. I'll repeat that again. We need to have a coalition of the competent and the willing. The economy is dying. It is dying a slow but sure death. How are we going to resuscitate this? How are we going to rescue? How are we going to develop? Let's talk about the living wage. When it is, we spoke earlier about the cost differential in Tobago as opposed to what exists in Trinidad. Certain goods and services and food items, basic things for survival, are significantly higher in terms of the cost in Tobago. Why has that not been addressed? Why has that not been addressed?
10,000 falling at your left, 10,000 at your right, victory today.
Is it that people are afraid to bring Tobago to a place that is just as developed as Trinidad or even better? Why are people so afraid to address the issues? What are the issues? There are so many of them. And again, I'll tie it back to that statement I made earlier in the program pertaining to cost differential. Why is it so hard for me to make $1 stretch in Tobago as opposed to if I were in Trinidad? Why? How is that fair? Side by side we stand. Islands of the Blue Caribbean Sea. Is Tobago standing side by side Trinidad? Or is Tobago floating off into oblivion? Because of the fact that we have not addressed the issues. The economy is dying a slow but sure death. Because everybody is dependent on a handout. Everybody is dependent on working for a state enterprise. Everybody is dependent on working for the THA or getting our work. That should never be the culture. Empower people to do better. Empower people to work in the private sector. You have basically killed and destroyed the private sector. Businesses have been closing down. Last year alone, we had 30-something businesses on this island closed. How is that good?
PDP, voting for PDP, black and we pro. PDP, voting for PDP, this is a black hole. Voting for PDP, PDP, black and pro.
How is that good? How is that good for progress? How is that good and necessary? How is that good for development when it is you have everything being run like a welfare state? You have everything being tied back to a state-run enterprise. You have everything being dependent on the government. Why are the boys in Bethel, Blackrock, Mount Irvin, Susuland, Riseland, why are they not working at the Mount Irvin Hotel? Why are they not working at the Magdalena Grand at Grafton? I know locals are employed there. I have friends that are employed in those establishments. But the bottom line is, the private sector cannot afford to hire anybody because you've destroyed the private sector, you've destroyed tourism, you've destroyed all of these things. We need to fix this. And I am saying that you need to put 2 representatives in the parliament that represent the interests of this island. The PNM has had their time. The PNM has had enough time in Tobago. They've populated the corridors of power in the Tobago House of Assembly for 15 to 20 odd years. And I will continue to reiterate that point. They have had so much time. They have had so much time. What have you done with the time? In fact, they had so much time, and further to that, I will assert and put out into the public space that they were unopposed. 12-0. There was no opposition in THA. No opposition. That would have been a golden opportunity for them to capitalize on things that are in keeping with international standards and best practice. What are your blue economy objectives? What are your green economy objectives? Are there designated green spaces? These are things that the Progressive Democratic Patriots want to bring forth and want to introduce. Blue economy. We need to diversify the economy. Tourism does not just mean sun, sea and sand. Health and wellness, education, sport tourism. Sport tourism, health and wellness, and things like that. Your education tourism. We're saying that if we had a university campus that was placed here that is comparable to the university in Grenada, in St. George's, you would see a massive influx of students from far and wide coming to be educated right here. When you drive around the island of Tobago, you see how blessed this place is. You see how beautiful the place is, how peaceful, how serene, how tranquil. We have it here. When I go up to Charlottesville and I go into the village and I go to get my fish and visit my friends who are like family to me, I walk through the village of Charlottesville and I think to myself, wow. I feel love. I feel warmth. I feel togetherness. I feel unity. I feel that, and I think that there is a common goal, a common objective. And all of this is being done in harmony with the environment and Mother Nature and the earth. We need to adopt an approach that is all-encompassing. And I'm saying that putting 2 representatives in the Parliament of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago on August the 10th will give us even more, will contribute to this development that we so desperately seek. And it doesn't end there, you know. It does not end there. That is one leg of the race. That is the first leg. In Champions League football, you have 2 legs. You have the first leg and you have the second leg. You have the home leg and you have the away leg. I will call this general election the away leg because we are sending two candidates away from Tobago to exist in the Trinidad space. That is the away from home leg. But the home leg is the THA election in January. Put Farley Chavez Augustine there as the chief secretary. Farley Chavez Augustine coined the phrase a coalition of the competent and the willing. A coalition of the competent and the willing. When you have a man that can pontificate and pronounce things in such an eloquent manner, young, vibrant, educated, willing to serve. When you have people like that on your team, who can be against you? Nobody hates Farley in the assembly. Nobody. I have never heard anybody say anything negative about Farley Chavez Augustine. Minority Assemblyman for Palatuvial Lands for me Speyside. I've never heard anybody say anything negative about Farley. And I don't suspect you would either. Ladies and gentlemen, call in 717-9591. We have assembled a team of young people. We have assembled a team of the competent and the willing. Mr. Watson Solomon Duke, Miss Tashia Grace Burris, the Tobago West candidate. I'm holding on for her this morning on radio. She has another engagement to attend to this morning that was pressing. So I'm holding on for her. Here in Studio 91.9 The Street, Crown Point, Tobago, broadcasting live. The time is now 8:35 a.m. I'm going through the newspaper, Tobago Newsday, and I just read some excerpts from Dr. Vanus James's discourse in Blackrock on Monday night, and I tell you that meeting was fire. That meeting was informative. You had facts and figures being given by Dr. Vanus James. You had Assemblyman Farley Chavez Augustine speaking about the importance of voting. You had Ms. Tashia Grace Burris, our Tobago West candidate, speaking about why representation is so important and why community-based representation is important. And then we had our political leader, Mr. Watson Solomon Duke, speaking about the plans for Tobago and the living wage being increased to $5,000. These are not far-fetched things. They have stolen so much of money. So much of money has gone missing. So what would it be to take that money or to instead use the money that they steal and they send to their friends and family and so on and put into overseas accounts things that are unaccounted for? Why can't you take that same effort and pay people? An honest day's work deserves an honest day's pay. And in the Tobago space for far too long, people have been accepting subpar. It's very unfortunate, I tell you. It's very, very unfortunate. And I want to assert that with this new living wage initiative that we are trying to introduce to the population, we can see a way forward. I'm saying that there's so much potential in the Tobago space. Many people have come and fallen in love with this island and never left. But in the past 5 years or so, people have been trickling out little by little, slowly but surely, because they are frustrated. I have friends who run business here. I have friends who run small entrepreneurial enterprises. And they're fed up. They're fed up and they're frustrated. And they ask themselves, why am I here? Why am I dealing with this? A lot of people do not have the option of leaving. In a case like that, what is the way forward? How are we inspiring these people to be productive? And I believe largely that's another contributing factor in why productivity levels have been at an all-time low. People are not motivated. People are not seeing the importance of self-pride. People are not taking pride in what they're doing. And that shows in the way we treat the environment. That shows in the way we treat animals. There are people that ride around Tobago on bikes preaching the gospel of love. I have a very close friend, an associate, not an acquaintance, but a close associate, who writes newspaper articles and spreads the gospel of love, and she's an animal rights advocate here in Tobago. When you have people like that existing in a space, you have environmental NGOs, you have environmental enterprises that talk about education and including environmental education in the framework of the education system. We have so many entities in Tobago that exist that the Tobago House of Assembly can partner with for one common objective, which is to educate and empower and uplift people. Young, positive, vibrant people want to stay in Tobago and give of themselves and give of their time and give of their expertise. They want to stay here and they want to see this place grow and flourish and develop. I am one of them. Miss Tashia Grace Boris is one of them. Young, vibrant minds, intelligent minds. This is not a wishy-washy group of people, ladies and gentlemen. Give us your time, give us your commitment, give us your loyalty, give us your vote. Not because we just want to be in power, but because we are focused on advocating for betterment. We are focused on advocating for something that contributes to positive development and change. Not change as in exchange, you're exchanging one for the other. But no, if you have a problem with us, tell us. We are open to that. Isn't that what democracy is about? Telling your fellow citizens where they are going wrong. And having the ability to accept constructive criticism. 717-9591. My last caller just said there's no stopping us now. 717-9591. 717-9591. That's the number to call in if you have any questions, queries, comments, anything you would like to add to the discussion this morning.
Scatter on your left, some scatter on your right. Victory today.
And I'm seeing a few articles here in the Tobago Newsday. I'm seeing an article that is describing some sort of hotel franchise wanting to set up in Tobago. Comfort Inn Suites is hoping to enhance the landscape of Lower Scarborough, Tobago when it finally opens. The globally branded hotel will be full service and promises to be a great addition to the downtown area. The hotel was expected to open in May 2020, but work was delayed due to the COVID-19 pandemic. I do not believe a word of it. I do not believe a word of it, because if even the intention was to build a hotel before the pandemic, there would have been earmarking of a site. There would have been activity on the said site, and there would have been some public stir, there would have been public attention drawn to it. Nothing was done in the 5 years. So all of these interesting announcements and publications that are being put out into the public space, I am very wary of, and I take it with a grain of salt. Now again, I'm not against development, but one must question, why now? Why are you now publishing something that could have been discussed in the public space previously? We had the whole sandals thing ongoing. We had all of these things being discussed in the public arena and the public space. In due course of this 5-year period, how come nothing was said about this? Unless, of course, the media house is wrong. I don't know if they got their facts straight, but what I'm reading here is the hotel was expected to open in May 2020, but the work was delayed due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Again, we have not seen any infrastructure, we have not seen anything being earmarked as a site. It was never really put out into the public space. So I'm asking questions as to how it is we've never heard of this. They're saying it's an Atlanta-based hotel, chain of hotels. So these are questions we must ask. If this was really a legitimate venture or a claim, then how come it wasn't discussed in the public space? Is that the way we go about doing things? Is that the way we go about moving forward without public consultation? You just see a newspaper article appear. So all of these things are questions that we must ask, and I'm asserting that with our Tobago West candidate, Mr. Shea Grace Burris, there will be representation that encompasses consultation, proper public consultation when we want to do something. We want to talk to you. We want to speak to the population and find out exactly what the needs are, what the concerns are. Each and every district, each and every constituency, each and every village has different or varying needs. And all of those things we must take into consideration. All of these things we must take on board. And the Progressive Democratic Patriot is very much interested in facilitating. The Progressive Democratic Patriot is interested in putting forward to the public that we have the ability to engage with you. We have the ability to come to you. Community governance, community approaches to governance, that's one thing. And then tailoring that said community approach to governance to suit the need of that specific area, that specific constituency, that specific district, that specific village. Yesterday we walked in the areas Mount Pleasant and some parts of Lowlands, and we noticed that there were many deficiencies in the road system. There were many deficiencies in drainage. And I'm saying that these are things that a candidate must document. And Ms. Burris is a person that is very, very much interested in systems. Tasha Grace Burris, and working along with her and being part of the Tobago West team myself, has demonstrated to me and everybody around her that she's interested in systems and structure. And once this system and structure works effectively, you would find that things run properly. It depends on the human resources greatly. But I'm saying that if a structure is properly set up and is sound and is properly implemented, then it's just a matter of training and developing the personnel to carry on the instructions. So all of these things we must take into consideration when electing a representative and electing a candidate to serve as your representative when it is you want to see positive change, when it is you want to see things that are geared towards development in a realistic way. So all of these things are discussions that we can have. 717-9591. That number again, 717-9591. Call us. The calls have been few and far in between today. The last time I sat in for Miss Boris, we had a very busy time and the lines were quite busy. Another article that was published, Progressive Democratic Patriots Tobago West candidate is calling for accountability in the airport expansion project. I'm getting a call here. Good morning. Okay, the person, we seem to have lost that caller. Caller, if you are listening in, you can call back. We apologize if your call was dropped. We encourage you to call back. The lines are open. 717-9591. That's 717-9591. Call us back. If you're hearing this, we apologize if your call was dropped. And I will continue to read from this article. Today's Transformation Thursdays, ladies and gentlemen. Today is the 30th of July, 2020. Tomorrow is the end of July, the end of the month, and then it would usher in the last week before the general election. Our time is short, ladies and gentlemen. Our time is very short, and we're asking you, give us your support. Our sincere hope and appeal is that you would be convinced to give these two candidates your vote. Ms. Tashia Grace Burris in the west and Mr. Watson Solomon Duke in the east to represent Tobago. To represent Tobago effectively. We want to know what it is you have to say. 717-9591. 717-9591. Call us. Talk to us. And I'm going to read this article that was put out into the public space. Progressive Democratic Patriots, PDP, Tobago West candidate Tashia Grace Burris is calling for accountability in the A&R Robinson Airport expansion project.
PDP, we're voting for PDP, black and we pro. We're voting for PDP, this is a black hole. We're voting for PDP, PDP, black and pro. No weapon from against you, so higher than an eagle.
The people of Tobago are yet to see the plans for the airport.
10,000 at your right.
What are the plans for the airport? What are the plans for the airport? What are the plans for the airport? I want to know what are the plans for the airport. We should be able to say, well, yes, we're going to get this new airport terminal. It's going to sit on 20 acres. Aside from that, we're going to get a duty-free shopping area, or we're going to get an airport hotel, we're going to have some restaurants, we're going to have an extended runway. Those are questions which need to be answered, and those are questions that are still hanging in the atmosphere at this time. So, in this publication, Ms. Boris basically asked all the questions that should have been asked a long time ago. How many rooms and how big is this hotel? How much of this land space is being allocated to commerce and shopping and duty-free areas? What is it? What is it you intend to do with all the land? You haven't told us what the plans for the land would be in moving forward. You have not said anything to us, and the population deserves to know. Tell the people what you are doing. Tell the people your intentions. Speak to the population about what your plans are in going forward. In the meantime, protest action is ongoing by Canaan Bonaccord residents who are affected under the banner of Provide Equivalent Equitable Compensation for Everyone movement. They say they are determined to remain on their properties until government is able to provide them with the most basic need, shelter. At no time a government must be displacing people or relocating people for something that is less or valued less than what their property is worth. That's one thing. And the second thing is at no time a government or any elected members of parliament should be disconnected from the people and not having a conversation. The number to call is 717-9591. 717-9591. If you are interested in calling, that is the number to call. We have so many things that are in the public space that are looming. Discussions waiting to be had. Public consultations. Where's the public consultation on the airport? You know, one would think that if it is you have an election coming up, a general election, you would think that instead of trying to victimize people or alienate people for having the freedom of choice or choosing an alternative, you would think that you would be more focused on meeting with the public and telling them what your intentions are. I'm getting a call here. Hello, good morning.
Oh, hi, good morning. Just want to tell you you're doing a great job. I've been listening in all morning. I have a question, though.
Right, tell me.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I'm hearing you.
All right, so if your party does happen to win in... Hold on, honey. If your party does happen to win in the upcoming elections or seats in Tobago, what assurances do you have on the tourism sector? Like, what assurances or what do you have in place for COVID-19 to assure, like, visitors and things that they can still visit Tobago and feel, like, safe or, you know?
Okay.
Hello?
Yeah, I'm right here.
Yeah, because I'm wondering, like, okay, because it's a new party and we want to give, like, this young group a chance, what would you put in place then to make, like, visitors or to help boost tourism in Tobago so that people all over can, because right now people are panicked to travel, you know? So what assurances can your party or what ideas does your party have to put in place to say, well, okay, then this is what we're going to put in place to assure that we can boost the tourism industry in Tobago and visitors would come? But, yeah, if you can answer that for me, thanks.
Okay, thank you so much, caller. Thank you for calling in. Thank you for your contribution. I would say that the Progressive Democratic Patriots during this COVID-19 period, to answer that part of the question, has always been at the forefront of the public discussion, has always been at the forefront with making pronouncements as to what policies should be put in place. We have a qualified public health professional in Dr. Faith B. Israel, who will be heading our charge where COVID-19, dealing with COVID-19 is concerned. She is a qualified public health professional, and she has actually drafted several policies that are in keeping with international best practices. She has been making pronouncements. If you would have been following the progress of Tobago where COVID-19 is concerned and getting out of the pandemic, getting out of the slump that we would have experienced, Dr. Faith B. Israel would actually be heading any team that the Progressive Democratic Patriots puts together. She would be heading that team in terms of the ideological part of it and making things in keeping with international best practices. And she's been very vocal about testing. She's been very vocal about sanitization. And she's been very vocal about policies. She's a policy maker. She's somebody who has the intellectual capacity to operate in that capacity, and she has been the one spearheading the charge in terms of policy development. And she has also given.
But I mean. Oh, sorry, because, yes, all of this is well and good, but during your campaign, we are seeing people going out and they are not social distancing. They are not wearing the face mask. I doubt they take hand sanitizers out on the campaign trail with them. They are not showing that they care or that they are taking this pandemic very seriously. I mean, they're even saying that it's a hoax and all sorts of things coming out of the people of Tobago when COVID-19 is concerned. And I think that in order to boost the tourism industry, as you're talking about, ideas to do that, there should be some solid, initiatives that you have in place throughout this campaign to assure both the locals who depend on tourism in a way and the foreigners listening in, as myself, that, okay, we can come to Tobago and feel some sort of safety or some sort of thing in place if your party do happen to win in the upcoming election in a few weeks.
Right, and I am very thankful that you're bringing these things to our attention. We will be putting out into the public space all of the ideas that we have for moving forward with tourism as it relates to COVID-19. And I will actually suggest to the team that is putting it together to include some of our policies that they would have been developing and to show and announce also at the meetings that these things are very important. And that's a very valid point you've made. At campaigns and so on, we need to have social distancing. We need to have people that are interested in ushering people accordingly and things like that. So that is a very, very good suggestion. And I will document that and make a note of it as well, so that when we have campaign meetings and so on, that people can adhere to the regulations and so on. Thank you so much for that suggestion. And I am...
Okay, fantastic. Keep up the great work and best wishes to you and your party.
Thank you so much. Where are you calling from exactly?
Bye. Norway.
All right, Norway is in the house.
Obviously Trini through and through. Yeah.
All right.
Okay then. Bye.
Thank you so much for calling.
Bye.
So we've had an overseas caller calling in from Norway, and we are so grateful to have such positive feedback for not just the party and the campaign, but for vibrant young people who want to make a positive change. These are things that must be discussed in the public space, and we are actually thankful. We are very grateful, caller, for your input. And these are things that we will include in documenting concerns and tailoring our mandate accordingly. So when it is we do get those two representatives into the Parliament of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, we can assure you that when people come to the island and when people come to Tobago, they can rest assured that health regulations, safety regulations as it relates to the COVID-19 pandemic can be realized and can be adhered to. So we thank you so much for that caller. We are so grateful to have such positive feedback. And thank you for all your best wishes. Miss Tashia Grace Boris would obviously be very pleased to hear that the feedback is so positive, even from overseas, all the way in Europe, in Norway. So we've had a caller from Scandinavia this morning. So the Progressive Democratic Patriots has a listening ear in Norway. We are so grateful for that. It is now 3 minutes after the hour of 9 this morning. My time is slowly but surely coming to an end. And the thing about it is that normally we cut off at 9, but I will just continue quickly because I'm seeing a caller coming in. We'll take this call. Good morning, caller. Good morning.
I had to address, people attacking the PDP and so on the another frequency. But
right.
Listen, there was supposed to be Mr. Augustine in this morning. Did he come in? I can't remember. I know.
No, Mr. Augustine was unable to attend this morning. He had an unforeseen circumstance.
Okay, all right. I hope that everything is okay with him, though.
Yes, he's fine.
Right, good.
Yes.
Great. Yeah, because what happened, I was supposed to calling on the issue with the vision and going forward with Tobago and what we need to do in terms of bringing Tobago to that place, using Singapore as a model,
right.
For our development. Because, clearly the people who are there right now, when, I listen to the PNM, and, we are miles apart in terms of vision, miles apart. They're still at the embryo stage where, it's like a box train kind of vision. They just don't see the vision. I don't believe in their heart also that they think Tobago can be as some of these developed countries, small states like Singapore. I don't think so. They just don't see it. That they just don't see it. So, and when you look at them, they are weak and lazy people in Tobago. They are very weak and lazy. Anytime you see somebody have to depend on somebody to guide them, that's a weak and lazy individual. In your own house, pretending to be a big man and woman and just dependent on somebody and talking about down there and taking any kind of insult, any kind of neglect and underfunding. As I said before, that was good in the 1960s, 70s when probably the Twilights were joining and we're now finding our way and so on. But you can't tell me in 2020 that we still have that dependency. They just have the same dependency they're depending on somebody in Trinidad to run them. It's the same dependency that they're passing on to the rest of Tobago right now. Bringing Tobago to a dependency. I'm fearful Tobago becoming like Levantil and these places. When I watch the crime and the level of crime and what happening here, the kind of spirit that roaming about in Tobago here now, I am very, very, very concerned about Tobago becoming like two places like that. The PNM is bringing Tobago to that stage, and people don't seem to understand and see what's going on. This is exactly what is happening. There is no light at the end of the tunnel under the PNM. You just clearly don't see it. It's just dependent, beg. That's all. Build 2 little buildings, square buildings here and there, and feel that is good enough for Tobagonians. And they come and rush it at the end of the term and feel that it's good enough for Tobagonians. We are far. We look at the PDP and any party from Tobago, other party from Tobago is looking way beyond that. Where we see Tobago is not what they're seeing. We are miles apart where vision is concerned. Miles apart. And the public in Tobago needs to start seeing that. I can't understand why Tobago would subject themselves to this modern day type of slavery and bondage at all. Tell me, what it is there for, what is the benefit of holding on to the PNM? Even if you move away from the PNM today, we will still get the same budget, not so? Huh?
Very, very fair point, sir.
Yeah, we will still get the same budget. We will still get the same budget we're getting. They wouldn't get anything less or anything at all like that. That has been proven. So what is the benefit of holding on to the PNM? I want those people in the PNM who listening. Tell me, what is the benefit? Clearly, look what Tobago is and Trinidad. We are about 75 years apart in terms of development. running one behind the other and not side by side. So the experiment again with PNM in Trinidad and PNM in Tobago has not worked. Everybody in Tobago who have eyes to see, right? Unless they're blind. It has not worked. So what are we holding on to PNM for? What are we holding on to PNM for? I just can't understand the people of them that they under some kind of spell, they were doped. What? It baffles me every day to find out why people are subjecting themselves to this kind of treatment and so on. That Tobago can do just like Grenada and far beyond those places who are running on their own. My gosh, I really, it's a sad day when I look at many of these senior Tobagonians and so on with that. Senior Tobagonians who have to know better. All right.
Thank you so much for your contribution, caller. Unfortunately, it is now 10 past, or just about 10 past the hour of 9 in the morning. I have run out of time, but it has been such a pleasure being here. It's been good interacting with everyone, and it's been a pleasure to stand in here for Ms. Tasha Grace Boris, Progressive Democratic Patriots candidate for Tobago West. And as we wrap up this show, I want to continue to urge everyone, please, we are making a humble plea and we're humbly encouraging you to come out, vote. Please, be the change that you want to see. You hold the power, the people hold the power. Give young, vibrant people a chance. Ms. Tasha Grace Boris is a focused, people-centered, driven individual. And we want to ensure that she's given a fair chance along with Mr. Watson Solomon Duke in the Parliament of Trinidad and Tobago. So come out on August the 10th, ladies and gentlemen, Tobago, vote. Give Ms. Tasha Grace Boris the opportunity to serve you. Give the Progressive Democratic Patriots an opportunity to serve you. We want to say thank you to 91.9 FM, the Street, Crown Point, Tobago, for having us here this morning. And as we continue to wind down before the election on August the 10th, we will be here again tomorrow. Ms. Tasha Grace Boris will be back with you tomorrow. Thank you for joining us here again on Transformation Thursdays. Thank you so much for joining us. It's been a pleasure again. And we are wishing everybody a safe, productive, and blessed day. So continue to go about your endeavors with a positive mindset. And we ask that you continue to support us. Come out to our meetings and continue to support us. Continue to follow us. Continue to give us that sort of reassurance that you are right there with us. Because we are right there with you. We are here for you. Rock and come in. The Progressive Democratic Patriots is for everyone. We don't victimize, we don't hate, we are about love. Be a part of this movement of love. Have a blessed day, everybody. Signing out for now, Sean McCoon holding on for Tasha Grace Boris, the Tobago West candidate, PDP, vote for us. Follow her page on Facebook, on Instagram as well. And stay tuned. Tomorrow, Miss Boris will be back. Thank you. Have a blessed day.
Don't give up this fight. With the few shit I galvanize, you bring tears to poor people's eyes. 4,000 iron, 4,000 the pain and blight. We pro PDP, this is a black hole. We voting for PDP, proto PNM. Pharaoh and his men, you won't see them tomorrow. No. Just set you higher than that. 10,000 falling at your left, 10,000 at your right. Victory today. No weapon form against PDP. Just set you higher than the eagle. a scatter on your left, some scatter on your right. Victory today. This is a black when we touch the road. In with PDP t-shirt, black. Voting for Tashia Boris, voting for what's in the oak. Black like charcoal, black bamboo bully face smoke. Is this kaleidoscope? Tell them black is the code. We pro PDP, this is a black code. PDP, we voting for PDP. Vote up PNM. Pharaoh and his men, you won't see them tomorrow. No, this is a black code. PDP, we black and we pro. PDP, we voting for PDP. Vote up PNM. Pharaoh and his men, you won't see them tomorrow. No, PDP, PDP, total black code. PDP, PDP, Charlottesville to PDP, 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 black is beautiful. PDP, PDP, yes we black. PDP, PDP, total black code. PDP, PDP, black is beautiful. PDP, PDP, we got black PDP, PDP, Charlottesville to PDP. We voting for PDP.